What is going on, guys? Dulex Ben here, back with another video, and today, as you guys know from the title, I'm going to be doing a beginner's guide on Spider-Man and Marvel Rivals. Now, before we get into the guide, I wanted to give you all an apology. I haven't uploaded in a couple weeks. I've been very busy with college and all different kinds of stuff going on, so I really apologize for doing that. I'm going to be uploading a little more consistently for you guys from here on out. Promise about that. And I'm going to be also uploading a beginner's guide for every character in Marvel Rivals. And also specifically for some of the characters I play, I will be doing advanced guides on those characters. Without further ado though, let's get right into the guide. So first guys, before we get into the more mechanics and different things that you need to know to play Spider-Man, I should probably explain how you actually play this character. So this character is a 5-star difficulty, making him one of the more harder characters in this game to play. Now, Spider-Man is also one of the squishiest characters in this game. Now, for those who don't know what squishy means, that just means a character usually under 300 health, around 250 to 200, around there, and they're very easy to kill. And Spider-Man happens to be the most squishy because, one, he has some of the lowest health in the game, and it is very easy to also stun him with certain characters. So you have to be really good with movement if you are playing Spidey. So when it comes to playing Spider-Man, I play him as obviously a dive character. Now, for those who don't know what a dive character is essentially a character that'll flank or go behind enemy lines just to take out specifically their healers, their backline, or other DPS that are out of position. Now, Spider-Man doesn't do a ton of damage to tanks unless you're very skilled and know his combos very, very well.
Pretty
So
sure those are bad guys.
that will be more into the advanced guide if you want to start trying to take out some more tanks. But overall, even at the higher levels, you really should not be going after tanks unless they are completely out of position or they are really low. You want to be going after healers and you want to be going after out of position DPSs. Okay? So now that we got some of those out of the way, let's get into his abilities. Anyways, guys, so for Spider-Man's, one of his first abilities is going to be his passive, which is Spidey Sense. You guys just noticed there, pretty much, if I go a little bit more forward, I can't see the enemies behind me, and if I can't do that, and there are enemies that are around me or looking at me, I will get a Spidey Sense showing me that there are enemies around me. For his next passive ability, we have, of course, Wall Crawl. Now, Wall Crawl is honestly pretty important to me. It's an underrated passive because this is actually how I do a lot of my kills, and a lot of my backlining is going up on walls and going up on roofs where they can't see me. So Wall Crawl is actually a really, really underrated passive to me. This is a really underrated passive to me because overall, you're going to get a lot of your good positioning with Spider-Man with being able to get behind the enemy teams and wall crawling, and they won't be able to see you. Now, let's get into Spider-Man's regular abilities. So, first we have Spider Power, which is obviously his melee. So his melee is pretty good overall. Not the greatest out there. It's not like it's Wolverine or anything like that, but it's a pretty solid melee, and it can do some pretty good damage if you combo it with certain things. That should be left click if you're on mouse and keyboard, and then it should be RT and R2 on Xbox and PlayStation. Now, after that, his other regular attack will be Web
Those are
Cluster,
bad guys.
or I like to call them stickies. But what's nice about these is when you do a sticky, it's a mark, sort of like Black Panther, if any of you guys have played Black Panther. So let me get rid of these
They
guys
get down
real
pretty
quick.
hard.
So if you notice, guys, the most important thing, which will be even more important when we talk about combos later on in this video, if you notice, when we hit one punch on a bot, it does about just a singular bar. But if I do a web cluster and then a punch, does probably 2 to 3 bars of damage. That is very important because when we get on, you're gonna web cluster, boom.
Woohoo!
See
No
what I'm saying, guys?
way!
When you web cluster hit, does way more damage than if you were just continuously striking. So that'll be important later on, but that's a little bit more of an advanced tip, so we won't necessarily get into that this video, but in my advanced guide, since Spider-Man is my main character, I will be telling you guys more about that. And web cluster or sticky will be
Pretty sure
right
those are bad
click
guys.
on mouse and keyboard, and it will be L2 and LT on Xbox and PlayStation. Now, guys, probably the one of, if not the most important thing to Spidey's kit is obviously going to be his web swing. Now, the reason his web swing is so important, as I explained to you guys in the first part of the video, is his web swing. Spider-Man is the fastest character in this game, and it is not even close. But like I said, he is the squishiest character. So your mobility is going to have to be impeccable if you want to climb up in the ranks when playing Spidey. Now, there are a
Too
couple
sure those are bad
advanced
guys.
tricks that I will show later on in the advanced guide, but overall, specifically for console players, the number one important thing about his web swing is if you have the ability to turn off auto swing. Auto swing is very important for Spidey. For example, PC players, it's a lot easier for us to flick and aim at a rooftop or aim at a rooftop if I could actually hit it. It's a lot easier for us to do that because it's a lot easier to flick on obviously mouse than it is on a joystick. But there are console players that I've plenty of console players I've seen that have been able to actually swing well without auto swing on console. So if you guys are able to do that, that will be a huge benefit for you console players, especially because then you can actually swing on the floor and you can grapple to the floor. That is important because that will do something what we call b-hopping, which is an advanced tip, but that is very good for rollouts later on when you play at the higher ranks of Spidey.
Pretty
Now, I
sure
won't get
those are
into the
bad guys.
rollouts in this video because rollouts, again, are another advanced guide, and you're going to have to know all the advanced maneuvers to do the best rollouts for each map in this game. But overall, for the beginner part of this, the web swing's pretty simple. If you guys aren't comfortable taking off auto swing yet, that's perfectly fine. You'll just swing to every rooftop. Jesus, if I don't die. You'll just swing to every single rooftop. That's all you're going to do. But it's very important for speed in this game to be able to use your web swings and to get out of trouble. Now we have as a next ability, which is going to be the amazing combo, which is just a simple uppercut. Now, this is going to be great when we get on later in the
What's up
video
there,
about
little guy?
combos. This is a huge combo helper.
Round and
And overall, it's just a regular uppercut, and it is the same thing applies with web cluster. If I use a web cluster and then an uppercut, it's going to do more damage than when I just do a simple uppercut. Okay, this will be F on PlayStation or F on mouse and keyboard, excuse me, depending on your key bindings, and then it is going to be X and square on PlayStation and Xbox. Then we have Thwip and Flip, which is just Spidey's double jump ability. That's space on keyboard and mouse, and then that'll be X and A on Xbox and PlayStation. Now we have probably Spidey's most important ability for combos, and that's going to be his get over here ability. Now, most of the time it's going to be set as E for mouse and keyboard, which I'm going to explain that in a sec why I have it set as R. But normal get over here is just going to be you aim at the bot and then you bring him in just like Scorpion's get over here ability in Mortal Kombat. Now, this will also be, I believe, RB and R1 on PlayStation and Xbox. Um, but I have it set for two different things. Now, I have my regular get over here ability set for R. Now, what you notice is I also have get over here set as E, but I only have it count as E when I use my sticky because then I can bring myself in. Get over here ability where you actually bring yourself in to the enemy as Spider-Man is the number one crucial thing for our common combo we are going to
Pretty
use
sure
for
those are bad
Spider-Man.
guys.
R is also pretty big because if I can use R, I can actually grab and bring people to me and pull them off the map. That's a more advanced trick, but that's another thing you could do with Spidey. But that is his get over here. Finally, we have Spidey's ultimate ability, which is Spectacular Spin. It's going to be Q on keyboard and mouse, and then it's going to be clicking both joysticks on Xbox and PlayStation. And it looks like this.
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man!
To me, this is one of the best alts for DPS in the game. It's really good, especially if you make sure you're keeping track of all the other team's ults and other
Pretty sure
abilities,
those are bad
and you
guys.
can get some pretty nasty quad kills and team wipes with this ability. Now, there are some team up abilities, specifically Suit Expulsion, which is Venom's team up ability. I won't get into that into this video because you guys have probably already seen it, but that is important for a more advanced guide for more advanced combos. But without further ado, let's get into Spider-Man's most common combo he uses, and we will get right into that. So Spidey's most common combo he's going to do is it's going to be a web cluster or sticky, and then you're going to bring yourself in
You'll be
and then
alright.
do the amazing combo.
Someday.
It's the most common combo every Spider-Man uses, and it's
Spider-Man
very,
didn't
very
learn much.
effective. Now, what you need to learn about this ability, numero uno, is that different characters and different angles that you're coming from are going to uppercut
Watch
certain
out, they're headed
people
our
in the
way.
air. So when you do this, and let's say I do a sticky, Then I hit the person, uppercut. See how I actually was at a different angle and I was using my mouse and keyboard and I actually went away from the enemy and I wasn't able to do my regular melee attacks. That is important, and you need to know how much separation you have to decide what you want to do to finish off a squishy. So if I have a little bit more space, I will shoot at them
And stay
with the
down.
rest of my web clusters. If I'm close, which I could have done that there, if I'm really close to the enemy, I can use melee. So that's the thing you have to differentiate the most as Spider-Man is you have to know how much space you have after you do the uppercut so that you can decide whether to use web clusters to finish off the squishy or regular punches. So guys, now getting into some tips I have for you guys. Some quick beginner tips I would do is one, save your web swings. When you are getting to the objective, you need to have at least one web swing left before you engage a fight. Too many Spider-Mans go into fights with no web swings, excuse me, or they use web swings to finish off an opponent. And let's say you pick off one guy, but you have no more web swings because you used a web swing to grapple yourself towards the enemy. Now, if you only got one guy and there's still five guys on the field and they're targeting you, because trust me, as Spider-Man, you're going to get targeted a lot, then you're screwed. If you have no web swings, then they could just pick you off easily. So always have a web swing in your back pocket to be able to escape from a fight. As Spidey, now this will be a more advanced strategy guide. I will get into this a lot
Now we're
more.
headed our
But
way.
as Spidey, staying alive and continuously putting pressure on the enemy's backline is the most value you can give to your team. You don't always necessarily, unless you're in a mechanical god, you're not always going to get a kill every single time you attack as Spider-Man. It is very important though to keep yourself alive and continue putting pressure on the backline. If the backline keeps continuing to back up and they are not giving as much heals or as much damage help as they can with their tanks, it's going to be a lot easier for your team to come in and do more damage and hopefully get a pick on the tanks. So always keep a web swing because it'll keep you alive and it'll keep you being able to put pressure on the backline. For my second tip, what I would do is I would actually do the common combo I showed you guys before I do the regular ultimate
T-shirt
ability.
those are bad
Now, the
guys.
reason I would do that is because one, it guarantees you a kill, but also you can target specific healers and specific DPSs that will try to counter you and try to stun you specifically, and that'll help you get a better ult off. So what I would do here is, let's say we have these two right here. If I go here, boom,
Don't mess with the amazing Spider-Man.
just like that.
Too
Just
sneaky for
get
you.
one of them low, boom,
Gonna
should
get
get one
sticky.
kill at least, and depending on if they, let's say, have a cloak or anybody that can escape, but if they got nobody that can escape and nobody to stun you, you got free kills from there on out. Now, my final tip for you guys as a beginner is do not start your combo
T-shirt
by
those are bad
seeing
guys.
your enemy right in front of you. Okay? Now, that sounds a little bit weird because as Spidey,
Spider-Man ready to punch.
you're just trying to do as much damage on their backline as you can, and also if you're going at healers, what can they really do to you if Spider-Man's moving so fast? Well, I could show, since we're in training, I can't show you guys, but a good example would be like a Luna or a Mantis. If I were to attack a Luna and a Mantis head on with them being able to hit me, when I fling them in the air after my uppercut, I am actually at a standstill. I can't move for about a second or two. So what that does is it's very easy for them to stun you with I think it's Mantis's sleep ability and then Luna's ice ball. They could stun you and that could make it very easy, especially if they're running a stack in a very coordinated team. It can make it very easy for you to get picked off. So my last and final tip for this beginner guide is always go from above an enemy or
T-shirt
behind
those are bad guys.
because they will not be able to turn around and stun you. It'll be very hard for them to get any sort of pressure unless the backline,
Spider-Man ready to
unless you have been disrupting the backline a lot throughout the game and they are coordinating well. If you are still attacking from behind, it's going to be pretty rare scenarios until you get to the higher ranks where all DPSs or other healers are going to be focusing you when you are actually attacking someone else. So finally, always go from behind. because then
Fight for the good
they
guys
cannot
next
do
time.
anything to stun you. But that should be it for this guide, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching this one. Like I said previously, I will be doing an advanced guide on Spider-Man because he is my most played hero and who I have ranked up the most in. But other than that, let me know in the comments below what character you want me to see you do a beginner guide on next. Like I said, I'm going to be doing all of them. But whatever's the most recommended in the comments, I will do next. So other than that, guys, I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.
Watch out.